Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the Council of the Wise. My name is Trollumbo the Wise, and welcome to this video about holy books being used as the main resource to prove that a certain religion is true. Stay tuned. So, this video is not going to be very long, and well, it's easy to see that I'm an atheist by, well, the title of this video, or what we're talking about, or the way we're talking about it. Well, you could think that I'm maybe some kind of progressive Christian that thinks about, maybe we need other proof than just a book. Well, you could have been right, so yeah, if you didn't assume that I was an atheist straight away, well, good for you, then you have an open mind. Okay, let's move on to the video itself. So the Holy Book is often used as a means to prove that a certain religion is right. And you see it in many debates. Whatever they're talking about, people will just use a certain part of the Bible and quote that and use it to prove that their religion is right. It happens a lot. But here's the biggest problem that I have with that. When you take a religion, and you take the holy book that goes along with that, you could read through it, and then you could take from that some morality. But this problem that I'm going to explain now goes beyond religions, and it could even go beyond ideologies. It's a problem that also exists in philosophy. When you take a book, like perhaps Friedrich Nietzsche's book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. You could take that book and you could read through it, and then you could find meaning in that book, and well, then you start thinking about it and you start interpreting what you've read. Obviously, because there's some scribbles on a page, you're looking at them and they get meaning to you. But everyone has learned something different to some extent. And that's especially true when you come from another language. I might be using words in English that other people might not use that often for some reason, because they lean closer to, well, some Dutch word or something. That could happen. So my knowledge of the English language, for instance, differs from yours. So my interpretation will, to some extent, differ because of that. But there's more reasons why it might differ. I might use a word. Even if you're within the same language, you might use a word differently. There are words that have manifold meanings. Well, some examples of this might be date, point, and right, like, well, my brother looked him up. Sorry for that. Yeah, a date could be like a specific point in time. It could be a date where you go on a date with someone, obviously. And then you have right, like you're right, or right. Wait, I pointed to the right 2 times now, fuck. Now people are gonna get mind fucked, perhaps? I don't know. Yeah, let's just continue with this video. So, you don't only have that, like, difference there in interpretation, you don't have, like, difference in interpretation because of your language that you come from, your background in language changes. The books that you've read, that's also something that's a variable in there. There's more variables than that. You could be using a word wrong. Yeah, that's kind of on you to some extent. Hey, somebody might have mistaught you the meaning of certain words and stuff. All that kind of stuff happens. But there's a bigger problem than that, and it's more fundamental than this. That is language itself. What is language? If you're a God believer, you could... Well, now I'm using the word God believer. Damn, fuck you, Gretkin. So if you believe in a God, you could say that language is something that comes from God. And maybe people corrupted it or something, I don't know. If you don't believe in a God, then language comes from humanity itself. It's something that was invented by humanity to make communicating, and therefore surviving as well, that much easier. It's a product of evolution. It's a product of the chemicals in our brains, and the changing in them, and yeah, all kinds of stuff. But there's a key word there. If language itself comes from human beings, comes from flawed human beings, because there's no there's nothing perfect in this universe, so we could say that humans aren't perfect. Language is a human invention, therefore it's also flawed. Flawed in logic. It's not the perfect means of communication, it's something that works for us. Obviously, for deep thought, for the deepest of thoughts, it's not really the best thing. Our languages are not really made for, I don't know, whatever we could reach at one point. Language is not purely logical like math, perhaps. It's something you could say. And therefore, if you're gonna interpret something in different ways, you're gonna have different results. That's what you can see within religions. You have moderates, you have extremists, you have all types of interpretations of certain religions and movements and philosophies, whatever. Even laws. Laws are supposed to be something that you could follow to the letter, but even that can be misinterpreted if you don't know what certain words mean. Like, there's obviously some slang that only lawyers understand fully. There's obviously gonna be like laws that are linked, and there you need to know that bit of information before you can understand that bit of information. That's also how like language works to some extent, because we're linking something that we've read, something that we've memorized, and we're linking that to something new that we've memorized, and we're comparing everything we see, feel, touch, hear, read, whatever. We're comparing everything that we come into contact with to what's already in there. Yeah. And that kind of changes up our interpretation of things we've seen earlier. So not only is it something that deviates from person to person, your interpretation of whatever, it's also something that can deviate from whatever point in time you are, from through the beginning of your lifespan to the end of your lifespan. Something can mean something very different by the time you're 40. Yeah, that's how easy it is. And here's going back to my number one problem with holy books being some kind of proof for religion. If it's written by almighty, non-flawed entity that we like to describe a god as, God is all-powerful, almighty, how would a being like that, write something in flawed languages? It's not like it's written in some kind of god language that you can immediately understand, like you don't even need to know the language. That would be like what a holy book would look like to me. A book that's written in some kind of language that no one knows, but when you look at it, it's like, blah, and you know what the fuck is written in there. That's not how it works now. You're gonna read it, you're gonna interpret it, and somebody says like, oh, this is my interpretation, oh, this is my interpretation, and then people start talking to each other, hopefully. Hopefully you're not in some kind of circle jerk with people talking about, oh, this is my interpretation, oh, that's mine too, oh, that's mine too, oh. Yeah, that's even worse than that. But here's the problem, you can have people talking to each other, and talking to someone might change your interpretation. Something that happens to you in your life, something you experience could change your interpretation as well. So your interpretation is changing, your interpretation is different from other people's. Yeah, this is a fucking clusterfuck of interpretations when it comes to holy books. So they are no proof. I would say they're the biggest fucking burden on a religion, even though it's the only way to know about the fucking religion, except for word of mouth, and that's even more horrible. So yeah, I wouldn't use a holy book as proof. If you're a religious person, don't do that. It's something that entirely, it's the opposite of proof if you ask me, so yeah, don't use that, never. If you want to believe, find your own way. Well, if you want to believe, I suggest you could talk about it. You could say like, I believe this, and have respect for other people's opinions, and don't try to convert them. Obviously. I'm not trying to convert anyone here. I'm not saying like, denounce your religion, and I give thee 70 virgins, or whatever. Whoa, fuck, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, whatever. And if you want to talk to people about this, just do so. You don't have to be disrespectful to people with other opinions. I'm not doing so. I'm just pointing out why I think the opinions to some extent are flawed for me. Now it's obviously up to you if you want to say why they aren't flawed. Please do so in a decent manner. I know this is the internet, and I know that there are gonna be trolls. Yeah, could be funny. Let's see. We haven't really dealt with trolls on our other on Lozasar's channel, but I don't know. Maybe this is gonna get us trolls, or get us trolls here, and then it would come to my no troll infestation. Oh my god! This has been Trollumbo the Wise, signing out. Telling you to wisen up, people. A general joke could be a joke that isn't just about the people. It could be about the stereotype itself.